This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit RogersTV for more details.
Welcome to Business Insight Fredericton. I'm Krista Ross, CEO of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce. Today, I'm talking to Bruce Gorley of Gap Auto.
This is our main distribution area. We have about 2,000 different items here. It's about 20,000 square feet, 4 skids high, and I don't know if we're going to have enough space, to be honest with you. We've grown. It's a good problem to have.
Bruce, tell me about your business. How would you define it in just a couple of sentences?
Well, we're manufacturers and marketers of professional automotive products. So we manufacture industrial chemicals, cleaners, and we distribute professional grade additives to automotive dealerships, aftermarket service stations, and a lot of tire chains like Canadian Tire and Wonder Auto. Yeah, so here we're in our WINS section. This is some of the oil additives and fuel products and lubricants that we carry. So WINS is a global brand, and we're their exclusive distributor for the 4 Atlantic provinces, as well as most of Ontario except for the Ottawa market.
So we're standing here in your warehouse, and there are so many different products here. How many different products do you have?
Well, right now we probably manufacture about 200 in-house, and then we distribute about another 1,000 or so.
So tell me how the business got started.
My dad, Bill Gorley, who passed away earlier this year, he started the business in our garage at home on a hope and a prayer. He brought in some auto parts from Montreal and threw them in an old milk van and started selling them out into the service stations in New Brunswick.
That's amazing. Yeah. And now you've gone from that to a business with how many employees?
Right now, with my 2 brothers and I and my mother, who's still around, there's 21 of us all together throughout Atlantic Canada and Ontario.
Okay, wow. Yeah. How many work here in home base?
We have 9 of us here in the warehouse, and the rest are field staff. There's 1 in Nova Scotia, we've got 3 in New Brunswick, and then also 5 more in Ontario, plus a warehouse guy in Ontario as well.
Bruce, tell me, what's your background? How did you start working in the business?
So for my side, I grew up in a family business. When it's a family business, it's all hands on deck. That's sometimes what it takes to be able to move it to the next level. But for me, I finished university at UNB, did my marketing degree, and started right in on the sales world. And for me, I wanted to take our manufacturing business, our craft professional products that we make here, and I wanted to make it more than just a local brand. Down here is where we have a lot of our individual accessories and smaller bottle items for our detail products.
So what does the name Gap Auto stand for?
Sure. So my dad started the business, and it was Gorley's Auto Parts Limited. And when he started on the road, people say Gurley instead of Gorley. If you're a francophone, it's always end up Gurley, which is funny because my mom is Shirley Gurley. But for us, people started calling Dad the Gap guy. And so I said, you know what, why don't I just blend this into Gap Auto and Gap Auto Supplies, and then it's more of a catchy name, and it worked.
You work here with your brothers, with your mom. What is the structure of the ownership, and how does that work?
Sure. So for us, it is a family business. My mother is retired, but my 2 brothers and I operate the business together. We're equal shareholders in the business, but all take separate roles. What we found in the past was that we're better off doing what we're best at and divvying up those roles amongst us. So for me, I take the leadership role and do these types of interviews. And for my brother Craig, he's really in tight with financing and reporting, so he deals with the finance side of the business. My brother Mark looks after production and all the manufacturing. So for us, we find it's a really good dynamic to be able to mesh together our business and be able to take it to that next level. And then of course we get into all the supplies, so your buffing pads, and on this side here we've got all our scents, which most people find pretty exciting.
So do you think being in a business with family is better, not as good, or just a different way of doing things?
I would say it's better if you can communicate properly. For us, that sometimes comes in heated arguments, but it always ends with us having dinner together. So for us to be able to communicate properly and be effective in when we're communicating is what makes us a successful family business. This brush and this brush and this brush are all the same bristles, but yet depending on the use and what the customer
how they want to
wants,
hold them. Yep.
the detail world is very particular.
Amazing. Tell me about your clients. Who would be your main clientele?
Our main business is franchise dealers, so your Fords, your GMs, your Chryslers, those dealerships where they're moving a lot of cars, cleaning a lot of cars, and servicing a lot of vehicles. That's where our main focus is.
So do these companies use your products in their business, or do they sell your products?
Sure. So we're not a direct to end user. Our products are professional use only, and they're installed by a professional installer, a technician, or a professional detailer. So we don't do a lot of retail business right now today because a lot of our products are concentrate and they really need special equipment to be able to be used.
So are these the majority of your labeled products?
So this is just a small portion of the products that we make, but we wanted to make sure that we had a retail line available for the end consumer that does want to use our products. Typically a customer would show up and only be able to get a 4-liter or a 20-liter of this product, and it's a concentrate for industrial use. So what we did is we made it retail dilutions and also ready for the end user to just be able to take home and use.
Bruce, how do you get your message out to your clientele, and what is that message?
It's probably a two-pronged answer for that. For us, we do business to business, and like I said earlier, is that the end user doesn't deal with Gap Auto, but for us, when we go into dealerships, what's attractive to them about what we do is we help work with their staff and train them, whether it's technicians on our equipment, advisors in the service department, or detailers, how to use our products properly and more efficiently. And of course, for the end user, we have a lot of value added services that go with that to keep the customer that's getting these services done on their vehicle back at the dealership. So we create retention for them as well and reasons for them want to come back to their service department. So now in the customer, we talk about the retention, getting the customers to come back to their dealerships. We're now promoting their name and they're coming back to their dealership to get more products.
Tell me about your social media presence.
Sure. So this year we started to do quite a larger push on our social media. We think it's important for us to be able to get out there. We've been around for 42 years and people have never heard of us, especially in the Fredericton market. So for us, we kind of have divided up for Instagram and Facebook where we target the end user. And then for LinkedIn and Twitter is we're targeting our customers. We find that there is a significant difference in demographic and who we're trying to target. So this seems to be the right way that we're doing it right now.
Well, I think it's important in your community to let people know what you're doing. I think a lot of people don't know too much about Gap Auto.
We're definitely not a service center here. We do not repair cars here, but we make a heck of a lot of chemicals to make them last longer and longer.
So who would be your competition, Bruce, and do you worry about competition?
I think as a small business owner and entrepreneur, I definitely worry about competition. You know, they're around, they're always picking away at us. And for us here, we pay attention to it, but we also have our goals in mind and we stay focused on how we go to market and not try to add in what they're doing. And that's what makes us different and why we're the largest in Atlantic Canada.
The recipient of our award is Gap Auto.
Recently, Gap Auto won the Chamber's Resilience Award as part of our Business Excellence Award, sponsored by Spot Check Armstrong and NORAD. Tell me about that.
Well, turns out we've had a really rough 4 years.
Resilience. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. It's part of our livelihood. It's at our dinner table, it's at our boardroom tables. It's a challenging year this year. Our father passed away in April and it's been extremely difficult. So between the fire and COVID and the hell that we live, we get an award for getting punched in the stomach and getting back up again. But I get up here to be able to do the talking part, but let's be honest, it's that group of 10 misfits from Keswick Ridge, New Brunswick that knock it out of the park every single day. You guys, this award I get to accept, but let's be honest, it's your award. You guys earned it. It's yours. Thank you.
Our building had caught on fire 4 years ago, and that just started what went into COVID, which ended up creating a whole other line of chemicals for us. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, my father passed away this year. So it's been difficult for sure. And you know, the Resilience Award is a nice acknowledgement of the hell that we live and that we're still able to push forward.
So this then is a new building.
Yes. Brandon.
Tell me about that.
Being in a building that we had on the same footprint here, we knew we could make changes to the existing building that we had. My brother Craig, actually, he's the one that took that on and put together the plans, worked with the architects, worked with the insurance to be able to get the building to what we felt we needed to be able to push us into the next 10 years of business.
Tell me what you think is your growth trajectory. What do you think is next?
For us, it's expansion geographically. Our programs and our products are on point. We're always going to fine tune and get better and better, but if we can expand what we know today and scale it into different provinces and different regions, we'll be able to duplicate and triplicate our business.
If you had to talk about Gap's biggest success in business, what do you think is your biggest success?
I think our biggest success is the fact that we manufacture an automotive detailing product line right here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and we compete with global brands that are every day trying to take our business, and they don't. I think it's something for us to be pretty proud of.
That is pretty amazing, right here in Fredericton.
Right here. So these are our advent calendars. My sister-in-law Natasha, she's the one that came up with the concept, and between Jordan and a whole lot of other people, we put together a detailed product advent calendar. So it says on the front, we wish you a Merry Christmas. There's 24 slots in it. We've had some dealerships, they bought enough to get private label, so inside here is their products that are all spaced out. And every day you get a new one. And of course we have it under our brand as well.
If you had to say that you had a failure in business, what would that be?
Sometimes, me being a sales guy, I get a little caught up in the moment and I pre-order sometimes tools or have custom-made tools made that may not move off the shelf as fast as they should. And just on the shelf over there, there's probably about $6,000 worth of metal tools that will never ever be used because since I ordered them, the vehicle has changed and now they're obsolete.
Oh.
So it's a big win for us here. And everyone lets me know about once a year that they're still there. So it's great during inventories when we find them.
Bruce, what do you enjoy the most about being an entrepreneur?
You know what? I think for being an entrepreneur, it's the freedom to be able to do what you want to do with the business. We're allowed as entrepreneurs to mold and create that no one else can do when they're in a structured environment. So for us, that's kind of how I see it as an entrepreneur. I can create Gap Auto to whatever I want it to be.
So along with opportunities like that, there are challenges. What would you say is challenging about being an entrepreneur?
I think when you're trying to grow a business, we're not a corporate entity in the sense of shareholders and lots of finances. So, you know, you're trying to grow, you're trying to move out of province, you're trying to grow outside the country. That takes lots of cash to do it. So you have to be able to be resourceful financially, and you have to be able to create a culture that you have a team that people want to stay at and be at. I think in today's world right now, we're experiencing some employee challenges. Everyone is, and for us, we actually been pretty well unscathed in that side of things.
Well, that speaks to your corporate culture.
I hope so.
Oh, look at all the labeling.
It's-
So when you're creating products and packaging them up, this is all your labeling. Tell me how COVID impacted your business.
Sure. So in the automotive industry, production of cars slowed down a lot, but the dealership service departments, which is a big piece of our business, were closing their doors, reducing the amount of repair services that they could do. Technicians were out sick, advisors were out sick with COVID, they were shutting down dealerships. So that greatly reduced the amount of volume and inventory that we would normally sell to the dealerships. And then on top of that, no one's cleaning cars if no one's buying cars. So we weren't having as many cars cleaned. So that really did hurt our business during COVID with the reduction of volume that's just out there in the automotive industry.
So what did you do?
Well, we did the classic pivot. And so what we did though is we sat down and looked at what opportunities are out there with what business we have today. And being a chemical manufacturer, we were able to go to the Health Canada. We got our approvals for hand sanitizer and disinfectant, and we started to mass produce it. We got approvals from companies like Porsche Canada. We also got approvals from the city of Fredericton. We picked up about 250 new customers in a matter of about 60 days.
Amazing.
It was quite a, it was quite a operation on everybody's end. That wasn't just me sitting there taking all the credit. Our team just rocked it. For us here, we've got a few different pieces of printing equipment, which Krista, obviously you're familiar with, but we do wide format printing because when we're in a dealership, we want to go in and create their marketing materials for them. So we'll do all their posters, we do their menu boards, we do all their brochures for them. We do it all in-house. So we have a full-time graphic designer, Jordan, and she puts it all together, and then we print it in here to keep the cost as little as possible to our customers. So it's quite a value add. We're going to Wonder Auto's oil change stickers.
So when you talk about doing signage and menu boards and things for your clients, are you talking about signage related to your products or just generally?
Mostly related to our products, but it's not always limited to that. So for us, it all kind of comes part and parcel. So if they're going to be using our products, we still have to be able to pull in the other services that are associated to it. We don't have a problem doing that anyways.
Excellent.
So we always want to look after our customers. We get good customer service out there, they'll always come back.
Business is a journey, and I know there are probably lots of organizations that have helped your business along the way. Tell me about those.
Sure. So with government institutions, we've got some help from ACOA. They've always been supportive of Gap Auto, which has been amazing. Opportunities New Brunswick as well. It's been great to have that local support from the government side of things. And on top of that, for me personally, I joined the Wallace McCain Institute back 2 years ago, and that's been great too, to be able to have other like minds be able to help support small business in Atlantic Canada. Organizations like the Chamber of Commerce in Fredericton, though, really help get exposure for companies like us that do business to business and generally aren't out in the retail sector. So it's been very helpful to be able to get that exposure.
Tell me how you feel about the economy and about opportunities, whether it's here in New Brunswick or beyond.
Sure, I think when we look at, for Gap Auto side where we operate in Ontario, Ontario's always had an elevated economy, and it's never anything that we really need to worry about overall. But when we look at Atlantic Canada, we've never really had the booms and the busts, so it's been pretty flat, which is a little bit comforting in the sense of we don't have those big peaks and valleys. And the more I get ingrained in the Atlantic Canadian market, meeting other business owners, I see that there is so much opportunity that we have here, and it's just on all of us to support each other to be able to elevate what Atlantic Canada's got to offer.
So in a business where you're selling a lot of chemicals and these types of things, I would assume there are regulatory issues that you need to deal with. Tell me about that.
You know what, we do a lot of transportation, so we have to abide by the transportation of dangerous goods. And of course, we want to make sure that our chemicals that we have here are safe, not only contained in here, but when they go out to our customers. So regulatory wise, we look after everything in here above and beyond what the government recommends or requires. But also when we ship our products, every product that goes out with STS, the proper labeling. We also do a color-coded safety program for all our products. So no matter what chemical you grab inside a dealership, you'll see if it's blue, it means it's a certain category of product. And we also train all of our users that use our products what to look for in an STS and why it's so important to know where that is in the event of an emergency.
In a business, there's often people that like to give advice. Some of it's great advice, maybe not others. But what's the best advice that you've received in this business?
I think related back to the Resilience Award, and a friend of mine told me this, and it was Winston Churchill that said it, but when you're going through hell, keep on going. And for us, that's on my wall in my office, and I look at that when we're going through what we've been through the last 3 or 4 years. It really keeps you in line and know that it will pass.
So if you were going to give advice to an entrepreneur, someone who's looking to start a business or buy a business or work in a family business, what advice would you give them?
I think from an entrepreneurial side of things that if it was easy, everyone would do it. So saddle up because it's not going to be an easy ride, but the reward's always worth it. This is not a bad start for the first day of the month. So we're getting probably another couple of pallets out today, which is great. Always good to have that going on.
Excellent. Welcome back to Business Insight Fredericton. I'm your host, Krista Ross, CEO of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce. Join me now to learn more about Gap Auto. Sometimes we're fortunate enough to have mentors in our career. Have you had any mentors? And tell me about that.
I think for me, I grew up in a family business. I had my father as a mentor for, 31 years out of my 39 years on this planet. I worked at our old place in Douglas counting little terminals and having him show us step by step along the way what value and what we do in the business and how it all contributes to the bigger picture. So having my father as a mentor has certainly been an opportunity of a lifetime.
Bruce, in the Gap Auto journey, what are you most proud of?
I think, and it's probably a point of pride, but when you see your name on your own product and you see it in places you never imagined it could be. I had a friend of mine send me a picture. He now works for CN in Saskatchewan, and he had a bottle of one of our products on one of his trains. I could not believe that our product had managed to get that far and into the CN train. It's just the coolest thing, and it's just that pride that comes with that. It's
Amazing.
pretty remarkable, yeah. We've got everything from your chemical side of things to our oil products and additives to our bulk products in the back that we make in our manufacturing plant on this side. And then of course in the back we actually have a training center that we're going to be using to get our new onboarded staff as we grow to come in and get in-house training instead of trying to do it at a service center or at a dealership. So we have a hoist out back and about a 4,000 square foot training center.
What goals have you set for the next year or maybe the next 3 or even 5 years?
We want to stay on the same trajectory we're on right now. We've been through all these different changes and now we're getting settled back into our new building, and it's just to keep growing in the categories that we excel in.
How do you find distribution from this location? Is this a great, do you have great
Sure.
access to the highways, or how does that work for
It's
you?
a little bit challenging being in Keswick Ridge, New Brunswick, but the offset is our costs of operations here are significantly less than they would be in Mississauga or even in the core of Fredericton. So for us, we're able to use that to our advantage, and where we limit out in transportation, we're able to make up for that in operational savings. So it's quite a big difference for us here.
And do you do your own distribution, or?
Sure, so we operate in 2 different portions of it. We have distributors, so we have a master distributor in Quebec and as well one in Western Canada, and then we have a smaller one in the Ottawa market, and then all the rest of Ontario and all Atlantic 4 provinces we look after directly with our own sales team and management team.
Amazing. Yeah. Bruce, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I am so excited for the people of Fredericton to find out more about Gap Auto.
Look, I really appreciate it. Like I said, this is the first time that we've really kind of brought ourselves out of the woods here in Keswick and kind of showed everyone what we got. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank
I
you.
do.
We're always looking for great companies with a unique story to feature on the show. If you have suggestions, please get in touch with us.